And running a little bit behind for the test session here today, but Jason Siemens, there you see, was the fastest in qualifying. Dave Guild right there in second. Thomas Ziegler in the 8 machine in third. Steven Grabowski in fourth. Emilio Fernandez Garrido in fifth, as we are on board right now with Dave Guild as he is trying to run down that fast neon yellow / green, not quite sure what color that is, of that fast number 5 of Jason Siemens. We're going to go on, get rid of this qualifying drop-down order. Get rid of that for you guys. Let that run on through. And then we'll continue on here with today's test session. Going to break out the little different camera views here today for tonight's race. This morning's, afternoons, golly, my mind is all over the place. A little bit of a moment there for Guild, and then contact with Zoller, and he's got Grabowski all over him right now. Tight quarters racing through the next turn. Oh, and Guild goes around right in front of Grabowski. Both of them into the sand trap, out into the outside wall right there, that retaining wall. Let's take one more look at how that all took place. There you see a little bit of contact with the wing in the left rear. Those two drivers just not able to get away from each other, and contact again with the other side of the end plate onto the right rear tire, spinning and into the sand traps they go. They have been able to get it back underway. Things are rolling pretty smooth out front for this man right here, the number 5 of Jason Siemens. Now we're going to take a little look back through the rest of the field. There you see second and third, Thomas Ziegler, Will Zoller, right behind each other, and Thomas with one heck of a livery on that. I believe this is the Renault 3.5s. If I'm not mistaken, the Formula I crew jumping from the Dallara F3s up a little bit to the Renault 3.5s. And man, I tell you what, that is one sharp looking paint scheme right there for Thomas Ziegler. Will Zoller right behind him. There you see him right there. Couple of new faces, new teams out here on track this season for the Formula I. I believe this is season number 4 we are heading into. May only be season number 3, but I do believe it is season number 4. Have to forgive me. I'm not too familiar with all the turns here at Barcelona de Catalunya. So, yeah, we'll just bear with it and get on through it. Here is one of our newcomers, actually 2 of them right here. There you see Carter Kundinger in his O2 machine. Danny Hoekstra, there he is, right there in that orange Tulip racing machine. Himself and Mark Bruning, creator of the Blonde Bullet Motorsports comic, have joined forces to create Tulip Racing for this season. And Hoekstra making his way up through the field now. Back in the 6th position, though, is the 6 machine. There you see him right there driving that 7-Up Renault is Emilio Fernandez Garrido. He is slotting himself in pretty well here today so far. And here you go, man of the hour. Not sure his paint's actually showing up properly, but it is a nice, clean, just basic looking paint scheme. The number 1 of Carlos Cotau running in the 7th position for this short sprint race. Only 10 laps here in this first test session. We'll load up again and go at it 2 more times before we call it a day here for the Formula I drivers at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Another newcomer right here in the 12. That is Corey Whiting. He is being followed by someone who is... I'm a little bit used to seeing this man right here a little bit further up front, and that is Cody Sandwith. He has got a long, well, not really a long race ahead of him, as we've already down to just 7 laps left in this short sprint race number 1. But he is back in the 9th position, so a little bit of a uphill battle for the next 2 sessions for Sandwith. Mark Bruning in his 61 machine. There you see him, the other half of Tool Up Racing. He's slotted in the 10th position in this brand new car, riding around getting the job done. Dave Guild, right there. You seen him earlier in today's race. He went around into the sand traps. A little bit of some issues for him. He was involved with some contact with the 2 machine of Stefan Grabowski. Pat Albin back again. 33 machine, looking nice in that Wrangler. Almost a Dale Earnhardt Sr. looking paint scheme there for all you oval heads out there not used to these open wheelers. Pate looking good out there in his machine. Here you see Stefan Grabowski. He was the other driver involved with some on-track contact with Dave Guild. He finds himself back in the 13th spot right now. And then Troy Banks, all black Renault. Actually, it looked black, but it's more of what I would call a cheer wine red. Oh, on the gas just a little bit too hard there. Spins it around, gets it fired back up, pointed in the right direction, and he is off. Meanwhile, we're going to jump back up here, up front with this man leading the field since the drop of the green here at Catalonia. And that is Jason Siemens. Gonna give you guys from the Formula I that are gonna watch this thing back, gonna show you the new point standings that we're gonna be using here. As you see, your top 10 will be right over there on the left-hand side of your screen, and then you will see the constructor standings over there on the right-hand side. So this season, we're only going to be displaying your top 10 drivers in the points. That way you can get a look at what the constructor points are week in and week out, with all the on-track action and fun here brought to you by the Formula I guys, presented to you on Turn 3 Racing Network, Next Gen Racing Productions as well, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. There you go. If you want to catch the racing action, just look it up, Turn 3 Racing Network on YouTube. Or you can look up Next Gen Racing Productions on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch. And I promise you will find some great content out there. Shout out to all the guys here at Formula I, getting things set up and ready, making a jump to a new car for the new season. Excuse me. Making the jump from a new car to a new car. Most of the same track, still going to be having issues with the way the car handles, the way the new tire model affects the handling and the longevity of the tires. So new tire model, new cars, same tracks, couple of new drivers. So guys are going to have to get familiar with the way some of these drivers do take certain corners, their reaction times and speeds, things of that nature. But nonetheless, this man right here, Jason Siemens, still leading the field in this first sprint race of today. We will have another practice session and another short sprint race before we get ready for the real preseason test here today on Turn 3 Racing Network. Everything looking good. So as we're not going to be switching tracks, we're gonna go ahead and in just a moment bring up some of the track information for you, just so some of you that aren't as familiar with the open wheel tracks can kind of get an idea for what these drivers have got to deal with today here at Barcelona, Catalonia. And there you see it right there. 16 turns in this almost 3-mile track. A lot of different elevation changes throughout the track. So a lot of different things that you have to deal with. Wind speed and direction going into certain corners and certain straightaways can have some effects on the downforce and the way the cars handle. But a lot of these drivers doing one heck of a job already early in the season. The one and only preseason test that we have coming to you this afternoon on Turn 3 Racing Network. Your track information brought to you by Rick Motec Racing Simulators. If you're out there looking for some simulator equipment, whether it be gloves, steering wheels, pedals, shifters, rigs, whatever you need, go on over to Rick Motec and check them guys out. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. But the man on board right now, we're going to jump onto our onboard cam here with Jason Siemens as he's riding around in his Siemens Privateer Renault 3.5. And you can see those front A-arms is what I'm going to call them. I'm sure they are actually worded differently than the way I just worded it and classified them. But you can see them flexing and moving. Oh, a little bit of contact with the grass. That could have been disastrous for Siemens as he's making his way around this large track. And I do see something. Oh, sliding is Siemens. He's going to give up some time, but he does have about 10 seconds over second place, Thomas Ziegler, so able to wheel that thing back in and get going back in the right direction one more time. But I am noticing that right side mirror is not showing up, so I'm going to have to, while we go to a break in between sessions here, I'm going to have to get that taken care of and fixed. Not an issue. Not a problem. There you see Thomas Ziegler way off in the distance in the background trying to chase down Jason Siemens as they are making their way up through the field. And it looks like there may be a little bit of a battle. No, a little bit of issues right there for Corey Whiting. Let's go back with our Turn 3 replay and see what happened here. Hard contact, and he's already missing that nose, and that's why it's not turning for him. So unfortunately, not going to be able to get to what happened. There you see Whiting is struggling now with no front clip on that thing. Not going to have any type of downforce or any type of help through the corners as we are slowly nearing the 1 to go. Siemens has led the entire time since the drop of the green flag. And it looks like he is going to secure this sprint race win, number 1, without any issues. There you see him going around the hurt machine of Corey Whiting. And it looks like maybe Danny Hoekstra may have had some trouble as he is now off track. Troy Banks and Corey Whiting also being shown 1 lap down. So maybe some contact and some issues between some of those drivers. Florian Neidl is also here today, but he is not out on track. He is scored in the 15th position, 7 laps down. Final lap, 1 to go. Brought to you by the Blonde Bullet Motorsports comic for the Formula I drivers. Gonna go through and see if we can't do a little bit more here. Looks like Thomas Ziegler, there you see that's his driver stats for the season so far. Obviously season not starting, therefore you do not have any stats in there. Gonna work through the field here, see if we can find anybody with their pictures out there. Not sure we have any of these front runners. Dave Guild now looking to get by Will Zoller, and he runs wide. Not gonna happen that time. So Guild trying to make his way up through the field into that final podium position. Not sure he's going to be able to get by Will Zoller in his fast 67 machine. There you go. Mark Bruning, first driver with a picture out there for us today, getting the job done all the way up to the 4th position. Mark was running closer to the rear of the field earlier. Now he finds himself up inside that top 5. Gonna go up here now as the race is finishing. There it is. Jason Siemens making his way across the line. He's gonna walk away with the race win here for race number 1. As these drivers finish up their laps, we're gonna go ahead and start to give you your race results. And it looks like here they are. First place goes to Jason Siemens, second to Thomas Ziegert, third to Dave Guild, as he was able to make his way by Will Zoller. He rounds out the podium. Fifth place goes to Mark Bruning, sixth to Carlos Cotal. Emilio Fernandez Garrido rounds out. And something's all messed up. Something's all messed up. Maybe I switched to that a little bit too soon here, as it looks like a couple of drivers getting jostled around here as the final standings and they're crossing the line are coming to play. But we'll run through it one more time, see what's changed here. Doesn't look like much of anything changed with your top 4. Gerardo finishing in 5th, Carlos Cotal in 6th, Carter Kundinger finishing in 7th, Pate Albin in 8th, 9th goes to Thomas Ziegert, 10th to Stephen Grabowski, 11th to Corey Whiting. Troy Banks in his 08 machine finishing up there. And there you see, rounding out the field today, not making it actually on track, was Florian Needle. Just in front of him, Danny Hoekstra with a rough go late in the run. Well, as this first session comes to an end, we are going to see what happens here. Looks like a lot of the drivers have already exited the track, so we will be right back here on Turn 3 Racing Network to bring you some more of the great action by these Formula I drivers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And man, oh man, back, not wasting any time. We are already back. Green flag racing here. Danny Hoekstra is leading the field in his Tulip Racing 91 machine. Carter Kundinger right there in second. Hoekstra with a little bit of trouble through that tight kink. Is what I'm going to call it, the kink section. Section. I know that's not the proper terminology, but we're just going to keep on rolling, keep this thing going. You know how it is. Going to throw up the mini bar there for your drivers currently in first. There you see him in the 91 machine. Danny Hoekstra getting the job done so far, and it looks like Jason Siemens, he's got a ways to go. He is back in the 6th. Make that 5th position now. Was the race winner of race number 1 here in today's test session at Barcelona de Catalunya. And Carter Kundinger right there in second in his 02 machine. Looks like he's having a pretty decent drive so far here early. Corey Whiting right here in third in his 12 machine. Carlos Cotal running in his number 6 car right there in fourth. Jason Siemens there, you've seen him in his number 1 machine right behind Carlos. In the 5th position, Troy Banks running in 6th. Emilio Fernandez Garrido right there in his 14 machine. He's coming up through the field as well. A lot of drivers out there on track. 14 out there right now. Dave Guild in his 4 machine started kind of towards the rear in this race. Has made his way up to the 8th spot. And he's got Will Zoller right on his gearbox trying to get around him. Battle on track now between Florian Neidl and Mark Bruning. These two are going to battle it out for the next few laps for that final position inside the top 10. There you see Stefan Grabowski. He is going into pit lane. He is unscheduled stop, I would believe. Let's take a look, see what happens here with Stefan as he's getting close to making his stop. And it looks like he is going to pull all the way in. Maybe changing tires, not quite sure. Looks like the car is down. And will he make his way back out onto the track? Not looking like he is coming back on track, as there is a lot of damage being fixed on his machine. However, we're going to jump back up front here with your current race leader, Danny Hoekstra, getting the job done, as I said, in that first position already. And Carter Kundinger trying to run him down. Hoekstra making his way, through this kink section once again. Seems like we like to get on board with Hoekstra as he's making his way through that same section of the track each time. There you see a battle between Carter Kundinger and Corey Whiting raging on, and Jason Siemens was able to make his way by Carlos Cotal, and now Siemens making his way right up and around Carter Kundinger to take away that second position. Siemens, and who was that in the grass? I think that was I'm not sure if it's Stefan or Steven, but I'm going to continue to call him Stefan. Grabowski was in the gravel trap. Tough break for him. Had a tough race number 1 as well. Now finds himself right there with these gentlemen with yet another tough go at it. Pate Albin being scored multiple laps down. Damage to his machine. Pate Albin also damage to his machine. Stefan Grabowski had a lot of damage to his machine as well. Cody Sandwith, somewhere along the line, he has had some trouble as well. He is back on track, though. He had an extended stay on pit road, over 1 minute on pit road, which that is not very normal as it looks like about 21 seconds or so is all you need to be on pit road, as Will Zoller. Oh, and a lockup coming from Siemens, and he is really, really slow now. That's going to allow Corey Whiting and his crew to come back at him, as Siemens has dropped now all the way back to third position. Not sure what had happened there, but Siemens down to third. Now it looks like Corey Whiting trying to go by Carlos Cotal. Will that work out? We'll have to wait to see. Yes, it does. Put Cotal into fourth. Whiting drops to fifth. And the man up front loving what he's seeing right now. Danny Hoekstra walking away with almost a 4-second lead at this point in time. And I wonder if I ever even turned back on the sound. And yes, I did. Thankfully, Lord knows I was over here just jabbering away and not sure if anybody was actually hearing anything I was saying. So thankfully, I remembered to do that. And as the test session gets closer and closer to the end, we're going to start throwing up a couple of different things here, just so some of the admins and drivers can see some of the new layout, new overlay that we have here. There you see your countdown to the green flag. It is still counting down, however, we are already green flag racing, so that's basically counting down the time left in the session. So there you see that your driver qualifying bar is kind of pointless at this point in time, so we won't worry about that. Caution information, not something you're going to see very much of here from the Formula I series, as there is no full course cautions involved in the open wheel side of the racing. Already shown you your point standings, but we'll throw that back up one more time. Just a rough draft here today of how things are going to be looking. There you see your top 10 in points will be to the left-hand side. The right side is going to be utilized for the constructors' points standings this season here at Formula I. Driver stats bars will be updated before we hit the track for the first actual race for the season. So these driver stats will be updated and filled in very, very soon, very, very shortly. And some driver fun facts that are going to be utilized a little bit later as well. There you see nothing entered right now for Danny Hoekstra, but I'm sure he's going to want something up on there. You've already seen your onboard shot. Yeah, so not much else left to show except for your aerial coverage for tonight's race provided by, it says 946 Designs, but that is actually a Haywood Elite Wrestling Club out of Bethel, North Carolina. Hoekstra having a good race here so far in this short sprint race. Only 10 laps, 6 in the books, 4 to go. Make that 7 laps in the books. I apologize. And only 4 laps left here to go before Hoekstra can put a little tally mark in that race win column. Even though it is a sprint race and a preseason race, I'd still count it if it was me. Not looking like there's too many drivers right around each other. This right here does look like it's one of our closest battles. That is Mark Bruning and Dave Guild for the 7th and 8th position. Mark in the 7th spot. Guild was right there on his gearbox, but now falling back 1.3 seconds behind Bruning as he is making his way through a slower part of the course. Looks like Will Zoller's beginning to close in on Corey Whiting as well. Carter Kundinger starting to close in on Carlos Cotal also. So small little battles going on throughout the track. And we'll actually, as this battle seems to be one of your closest ones, we'll go over here to this battle and see what we can do. See if anything happens here. That battle has kind of went away. Some of the drivers here, 14 drivers started today's race. 8 still on the lead lap. Cody Sandwith and his number 2 machine is scored the first car, 1 lap down, followed by Steven Grabowski, Pate Albin, Troy Banks, Florian Needle, and Emilio Fernandez Garrido rounds out your top 14. Two to go this time at the line for your race leader. This man right here on screen. And let's see. Not quite sure how everything's looking as far as some of the racing shots, because I have not fixed these cameras just yet. So we're just going around giving you some great camera shots and action from these race drivers here. Now the gyro cam, you can feel the pitch and yaw going through some of the track here. A little bit of a dirty visor there for Hulkstra as he's making his way through the final section before, and he goes around. He's got to get it fired back up. It's pointed back in the right direction. He does have a lot of time to give up, but he is going to give up a ton of that time right there with that spin. Gets it corrected, gets it pointed in the right direction. He's fired back off and away. Now he gave up a good 4 to 5 seconds easily with that spin there, as we are down to the final lap here at Barcelona, Catalonia. In Hulkstra, it looks like unless he has some major issues, is going to walk away with that position. Now we've got a little bit more of a heated battle. Here we see 4 machines all tucked up right there with each other. The one of Jason Siemens, Carter Kundinger, Carlos Cotal, and Will Zoller all right there. That's 2nd through 5th. Got to go back about 5 seconds to get to the 12 machine running in 6th of Corey Whiting. But these 4 drivers still trying to sort out who's going to finish where on the podium and who's going to take that final podium position. As we are down to, I believe, close to only half the lap left. A little bit less than that, I do believe. As, man, this little battle here is getting heated up. Jason Siemens, he's been able to kind of squirt away from the rest of the field. Looks like Will Zoller is not going to have enough time to get up there and take that 3rd and final podium position away. And, Carlos Cotal able to get by Zoller. Zoller had some issues there through that last tough technical section. Crossing the line now. Looks like Danny Hulkstra will walk away with the race win. There you see All the drivers coming to a stop, getting out and getting ready to go back to the next race. But there you see it, your race winner for sprint race number 2, Danny Hulkstra. Coming away in second here was Jason Siemens, followed in third by Carter Kundinger. Gonna run through to this race result here for you. There you see Hulkstra with the win, Siemens in second, Kundinger in third. Carlos Kotal rounds out your top 4 in fifth. Will Zoller, Corey Whiting in sixth. Seventh goes to Mark Bruning. Eighth to Dave Guild. 9th to Cody Sandwith, 10th to Stefan Grabowski, 11th to Pate Albin, 12th Troy Banks. 13th position Florian Needle, and in 14th Emilio Fernandez Garrido rounds out your field for the second sprint race here today. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to conclude it for the test sessions here on Turn 3 Racing Network. Do stick with us throughout the race week. Keep checking the pages and get notified anytime these drivers are getting ready to fire off for the season. Man, this is going to be absolutely wonderful. So join us again here on Turn 3 Racing Network.